This is what's up, guys. We are going to take things a bit further now from the SRA principle that we detailed in the last video. So as you see, we have another graph. They're fun. But from here we have stimulus coming up, and we have size or time along the x-axis. So from here, you can see three different brackets. The first little bracket here doesn't have as much stimulus. So this means that we're recruiting the smaller motor units. That means that the recovery time, if you remember back to the SRA principle, is a lot shorter. That means, often if not, that this is an aerobic activity, or at least it's not as taxing, and you have a lot of oxygen present, and your main fuel then would be your free fatty acids. As we're moving along, we're recruiting bigger and bigger motor units. The stimulus is getting higher and higher. So from here, obviously, there's going to be a mixture of free fatty acids and carbohydrates, and it's going to move slightly towards more anaerobic activity. As we're coming higher and higher, the recovery time is increasing because the size of the motor units are now larger, because the stimulus requires a hell of a lot more force production. So from here, if you remember the SRA principles, we have one curve, we have the second curve, and then we have curve number 3 here, which requires a lot more recovery time because the intensity is so high. And that means that the frequency and the volume cannot be as high as on either one of these. So that means that the main fuel here is carbohydrates, and the main energy system that's working is ATP-PCR, your ATP phosphocreatine energy system, with obviously the anaerobic system as well. But from here, I want to make sure that you know, in terms of periodization, that this is exactly what a periodization scheme looks like. So this can be months, this can be years, it can be 10 years, it can be a decade, or it can be a week. So just as an example, well, this could now be a linear periodization scheme where you have 1 month, the second month, and the third month. So you build your way up, you focus solely on technique and improving your aerobic capacity. From here, the force production is increasing slightly. Now we're working on general strength and hypertrophy. You do that 3-4 times a week, or depending on the level of development of your client. And then as you're working your way into the peak month or week of your client, then you're stimulating maximal neural output, or close to maximal neural output, at a more frequent rate than what you would have done earlier. And then obviously, when we look at it this way, it's easier to see how we can gauge recovery and nutrition and a lot of other means from that. But hopefully this is quite beneficial for you in terms of how you can structure a week, you can structure a whole training cycle, or whatever it might be, especially for beginners, where you start them quite low over time and you're gradually progressing. If you're working with elite athletes, people that are a lot more experienced, things obviously change, but you don't chuck them straight into this little bracket here all the time. So make sure that you take this into consideration, and hopefully it's quite beneficial following up from the SRA. So again, stimulus, recovery and adaptation, and you can put this into the Henneman size principle, which is the recruitment of motor units based on the stimulus and the force output needed. So I'll talk to you in the next video. I'll see you soon.